Today, we're breaking down 3 incredibly unsettling true accounts, all pulled from first-hand source material, that basically prove the mundane spaces we trust most might not be as safe as we kind of assume. So, let's dive into this. So, think about this for a second. What if the scariest things in the dark aren't ghosts, but people? I mean, we all love to scare ourselves with tales of the paranormal, but as we're about to see in these accounts, the absolute most horrifying threats out there are often totally flesh and blood. Today's explainer shifts our focus from imaginary monsters to pure, real-world menace. We're going to dissect exactly how fast a completely normal day can spiral into a fight for survival, and, more importantly, what we can learn from it. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1. We're heading into the woods for a story we'll call Purple Hat. This first account centers on a hiker who recently moved to a super rural area, just looking for some peace and solitude. But, wow, map out the terrifying escalation of her day. In the morning, she's having this perfectly peaceful hike, finding this totally hidden, swampy clearing. She actually feels a weird, inexplicable edge, but, she shakes it off and records a quick video diary for herself. Fast forward to midday, she reaches the public park trails, steps out of the restroom, and bam, she's confronted by a strange man in a black hoodie, a purple hat, and sunglasses who is acting like he totally knows her. By the afternoon, she's desperately pretending to be best friends with a random passing couple just to escape the guy. And by the evening, well, that's when she makes a discovery that literally changes everything. And that brings us to a truly pivotal moment. The man in the purple hat didn't just casually say hello, he followed her. After she awkwardly laughed off his initial approach, she heard footsteps right behind her. She turned around and he delivered this eerily confident line. "Looks like we're going to hit the same trail." Now put yourself in her shoes for just a second. Your gut is absolutely screaming at you that something is wrong. So she lies, saying she's waiting for someone. He then completely flips his story, claiming his car hood is stuck and he needs her small fingers to pry it open. Yikes, right? Her creep meter was officially overflowing. Thankfully, she trusted her instincts, literally latched onto a passing couple, and watched the man drive away in a red Chevy Cruze. Surprise, surprise, he never needed help with his car at all. And this just brilliantly illustrates why you should always trust that inexplicable bad feeling. She practically ran home, poured herself a well-deserved glass of wine, and sat down to review that video diary she recorded at the hidden swamp hours earlier, only to realize her stalker had been lurking in the background, silently watching her the entire time. No way, right? Just over her shoulder, barely visible in the tree line, was the man in the black hoodie and purple hat. He hadn't just randomly bumped into her at the bathrooms, he had been silently tracking her deep in the isolated woods long before they officially met. If she had gone to his car, well, she might not be here to share the story. Okay, let's pivot to an entirely different kind of terror, moving from the wide-open vulnerability of the woods to the extreme claustrophobia of your own home. Section 2, the basement. Fake ghost. This next account comes from a deeply skeptical narrator whose friends, Ron and Tina, had just bought a brand new house. And here, we really have 2 very different perspectives playing out. Ron and Tina learn a previous owner actually died in the house. So naturally, when they start hearing bumps in the night, finding furniture slightly moved, and noticing missing items, they immediately form a paranormal theory. To them, their house is 100% haunted. On the flip side, we have our narrator's skeptical reality. He's totally convinced they're just letting their imaginations run wild, maybe watching way too many horror movies, and basically just hearing a normal house settling. But you guys, the steps of escalation here were just undeniable. First, it was just strange noises at night. Okay, fine. Then, step 2, Ron's favorite Miami Dolphins coffee mug completely vanishes from the kitchen counter. Weird. Step 3, a massive crash echoes from their box-filled basement, which terrified Ron so badly he refused to go back down there. He was literally sleeping in a hotel just to avoid his own house. Finally, step 4, our skeptical narrator decides he's going to play the hero. He volunteers to march right down into that basement, mock the imaginary ghosts, and record a selfie video in the absolute dark to prove to his friends that absolutely nothing is down there. So the crucial point here is what he actually finds. As he's walking around the pitch-black basement, filming himself and joking about their useless storage, he suddenly smells something awful. But the terrifying scent was definitely not demonic. It was the heavy, distinctly human body odor of a living person. He checks his phone screen, and sitting right there in the corner behind him is a sickly old man with bizarre plastic-looking eyes. Ron and Tina didn't have a ghost. Oh no. They had a very unstable, completely unwashed stranger secretly cohabitating with them, literally sleeping on a small pillow behind their boxes, and yes, drinking out of Ron's missing Miami Dolphins mug. Obviously, the narrator instantly drops the joke, sprints up the stairs like his life depends on it, and slams the door. What followed was an agonizingly tense 10 minutes. He's holding the basement door shut with one hand while frantically calling the police with the other. The intruder was right on the other side, just throwing his entire weight against the door, screaming and wailing in pain. The screams eventually devolved into him just repeating these words, "No, no, no." When the police finally arrived, the narrator let go of the door and the man burst through, screamed directly into the narrator's face, and sprinted out the back door into the night. And get this, he was never caught. Which brings us to our third and final account, the neighborhood night watcher. Our narrator here is just a regular guy trying to make some extra cash dog-sitting for his wealthy boss, staying up way too late playing his Nintendo Switch. I want you to really notice the relentless, creeping nature of a stalker over just a single night here. At 10 p.m., he walks the dog and thinks he sees a shadow near the house. But he brushes it off as the dark, just playing tricks on his eyes. Totally normal. Then at 1 a.m., he goes out to his car to grab a phone charger and sees a person dressed in all black standing completely still a few houses down. Again, he rationalizes it, thinking, hey, maybe it's just a neighbor looking at the stars. But by 3 a.m., he hears this strange rubbing noise against the house. He looks out the living room window and catches a person sprinting away from the glass. And over the next 24 hours, this just wildly escalates. His boss completely dismisses it as harmless teenagers pulling pranks. So the very next night, the narrator spots the person again. Only this time, the stalker is standing completely motionless on the grassy median under a street lamp, just dead staring at the house. Believing it's just a teenage prankster, the narrator makes a horribly risky decision. He steps outside, pulls out his phone to record, and shouts out a greeting to scare them off. But shouting at that unmoving silhouette didn't scare them away. Actually, scratch that, it did the exact opposite. It triggered an immediate, full-speed sprint directly toward him. This wasn't a joke. It was an active, highly aggressive threat charging right at him. He barely makes it back inside, slamming and locking the front door, his adrenaline absolutely surging. He sits in the dining room, practically paralyzed with fear, wondering if he's actually under attack. And then, the doorbell rings. He completely freezes. The doorknob jiggles. And then, right through the locked door, comes this incredibly calm, rational voice delivering a bone-chilling line. Have a good night. It's so incredibly anticlimactic, and honestly, that is exactly what makes it so terrifying. By the time the police arrive, the man is long gone. The boss later confirms it definitely wasn't one of the neighborhood kids. It was just a wicked person in the night who targeted him for absolutely no reason at all, leaving him with this deeply unnerving, unresolved threat. And that brings us to the thematic spine of today's explainer. Section 4, Trust Your Gut Instincts. These 3 stories happen in vastly different environments to completely different people, but they all share a crucial common thread. So let's summarize the crucial takeaways derived directly from these accounts, because they really matter. First up, acknowledge your fear and trust your instincts. The hiker felt on edge way before she ever saw the purple hat. She listened to that gut feeling, and it literally saved her life. Second, always, always lock your doors, even during the day. Tina grew up in nice neighborhoods and routinely left her doors unlocked, which is exactly how a sickly old man managed to move right into her basement. And third, nice neighborhoods absolutely aren't immune to unwanted strangers. The dog sitter just assumed the wealthy area was safe, which nearly blinded him to the very real predator standing right under the street lamp. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, kind of provocative thought. Who might be hiding in your background right now? Whether you're recording a fun video in the woods, hearing a strange bump in your brand new house, or just looking out the window of a quiet suburban street, remember to stay vigilant. The world is a completely fascinating place, but man, it really pays to keep your eyes wide open. Thank you so much for joining me to unpack these chilling realities. Keep learning, stay safe out there, and I will see you next time.